All right, let's talk about something that separates good writing from truly great writing. You know the kind of writing that just pulls you in and feels effortless to read? It all comes down to one magic ingredient: flow.
Okay, check out this analogy from our source material because it is just perfect. It says a paragraph can have all the right pieces but still lack the stylistic finesse required to engage a reader, just like a meal can be technically complete but, totally bland. I mean, how spot on is that? We've all read stuff like that. All the facts are there, but it's just boring.
So what is that missing spice? Well, that's what we're going to figure out. We're going to pinpoint exactly what it is, and I'm going to show you how to sprinkle it into your own work to take it from monotonous to magnetic.
And just look at this slide to see what I mean. The before text, you can almost hear it, can't you? I have achieved. I have helped. I have reduced. It's so choppy and mechanical. But then look at the after. It's the exact same information, but by weaving it all into one smooth flowing sentence, it suddenly sounds so much more confident and polished. That's the goal right there.
So how do we get there? How do we achieve that flow? Well, our first major technique is all about creating rhythm in your sentences. And the secret to rhythm? It's the power of sentence variety.
So, what is sentence variety? It's really just a fancy way of saying you should mix things up. Use different sentence patterns, different lengths, different rhythms. Think of it like a toolbox. You wouldn't build a house with just a hammer, right? You need different tools for different jobs. Same thing with writing.
And the absolute easiest way to start using that toolbox? It's so simple. Just change how your sentences begin. You don't have to rewrite everything. Just a little tweak right at the start can make a huge, huge difference.
Let's try it out. Look at the before sentence. She slowly turned the corner. It's fine. It works. But now watch what happens when we just move one word to the front. Slowly, she turned the corner. You feel that? That little comma creates a pause. It builds a bit of tension. It just changes the whole feel of the sentence. So easy.
Here's another example. The terrified child hid underneath the heavy wooden table. Again, totally fine. But what if we start with the location? Underneath the heavy wooden table, the terrified child hid. Bam! Now we see the setting first. It's almost like a camera panning across the scene before it reveals the character. It's way more visual. Okay, so our individual sentences are starting to sound better. But writing isn't just a collection of sentences, right? They need to talk to each other, they need to connect. And that brings us to our second key idea, building bridges between your thoughts.
The first kind of bridge we can build is something called coordination. This is what you use when you're joining two ideas that are basically equal partners. Neither one is more important than the other, they just belong together, kind of like hooking up two identical train cars.
And how do we build these bridges? With 7 little words. You can remember them with the acronym FANBOYS. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Each one does a very specific job. One shows contrast, another shows a result. They're like the essential nuts and bolts for connecting your ideas together. Okay, so that's great when your ideas are equal. But let's be real, what if they're not? What if one idea is the main point and the other one is just extra information? Well, that is where our second type of bridge comes in, and it's called subordination. This technique is all about joining two related ideas that are unequal in importance. It's a super powerful way to put the spotlight on your main idea.
Let's see it in action. In the before version, we get two separate facts. Tracy helped someone, and she was going to be late. Okay, but the after version? Even though Tracy would be late for work, she stopped to help the injured man. See what that does? It immediately tells us what was more important to her. It adds depth, it shows character, and it guides our focus.
All right, we've got sentence variety and strong connections. Now for the final touch, the technique that adds that real professional polish and elegance. We need to talk about the power of parallelism.
Okay, I want you to just read this sentence in your head for a second. Driving a car requires coordination, patience, and to have good eyesight. Ugh, you feel that, right? That last part, to have good eyesight, it just clunks. It breaks the rhythm. It feels clumsy and unbalanced.
Now look at the fix. Driving a car requires coordination, patience, and good eyesight. Ah, it's like a breath of fresh air. Noun, noun, noun. It just clicks into place. It's balanced. It flows. That satisfying feeling, that's the magic of parallelism.
So what is it really? Parallelism is just a fancy word for keeping items in a list grammatically consistent. You're creating a pattern, whether it's with words, phrases, or whole clauses. And our brains absolutely love patterns. It makes everything feel balanced, clear, and just easier to read.
All right, we have covered a lot of ground, but it's all incredibly useful stuff. So let's boil it all down and refine this into your new writing toolkit.
And what's really amazing is that everything we've talked about really comes down to just 3 core concepts. If you can get a handle on these 3 simple ideas, I promise you, it will completely revolutionize your writing.
So here it is, your 3-step writing tune-up. First, vary your sentence beginnings to create that rhythm. Second, connect your ideas to create a logical, smooth flow. And third, balance the parts of your sentences with parallelism to create that professional elegance.
So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Don't just let this be an interesting idea. Put it into practice. Go find something you wrote recently, an email, a report, even a text message. Find one sentence, just one, that you can make better using one of these techniques. What's one sentence you can refine today?